On pins and needles, as the market tenses up, how traders are playing out the shortened trading week. In today's cover story, what's in store as the wireless market shrinks? Plus, why some lottery losers are actually winners. And who wants to be a millionaire? Stick around for the secrets of the rich. First Business starts now.
You're watching First Business. Financial news, analysis, and today's investment ideas.
Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, September the 4th. I'm Angela Miles. In today's First Look, rattled and rising. Stocks gained ground Tuesday, even as worries build up about what's next with Syria. Gold and oil also rallied, but mostly out of fear. Apple is sending out invitations to the media for its big event September 10th at its headquarters in Cupertino, California. It's widely expected the tech company will unveil its next iPhone. Kodak is expected to emerge from bankruptcy today. The iconic company has been in Chapter 11 for 20 months. Kodak will continue as a smaller digital imaging company. Investors holding old shares will be able to write it off as a tax loss. Larry Shilver of SFG Alternatives joins us now. And Larry, is this a high-risk market?
It is a high-risk market, but the good thing is when you talk about Syria, you talk about the summer's appointment, the budget deficit, fiscal cliff, whatever you want to talk about, these things have been known risks for about a month now. So the market has had time to digest them. So the reaction might not be as big as if it just came out of left field.
Oil has been trending higher. Will that trend continue?
You know, I'm afraid that oil trend will continue to be higher. I mean, supplies have been really tight even before we had these problems persisting in the Middle East. And the truth of the matter is, if it does persist, if we see $115, $120 a barrel oil, it could really undo our stock market and have a severe correction.
The big G20 meeting takes place on Thursday. What do traders think about that? What is the market saying about that meeting, if anything at all?
Yeah, you know, the G20 meeting is a big meeting. There's a lot of moving pieces, a lot to dissect. But the bottom line is what the investor needs to know is that the market continues to think that central banks around the world are going to keep rates nice and low for a long time.
Thank you, Larry.
You're welcome.
The showdown with Syria will overshadow the G20 summit Thursday. President Obama took off yesterday for a 3-day overseas trip to Sweden and then Russia, where the summit will be held. The president is urging lawmakers to support his plan to punish Syria for what Secretary of State Kerry says is evidence of a chemical weapons attack by Syria's government on its civilians. House Speaker John Boehner and Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi agree with the president. However, the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, who is hosting the summit, is at odds with Mr. Obama. The House and Senate are expected to vote next week on authorizing an airstrike against Syria.
A major shareholder of Smithfield Foods is going on the record to oppose the sale of the company to a Chinese firm. The Virginia-based Smithfield is the world's largest pork producer. The company struck a deal last May to sell its business to China's Shengwei International for $7.1 billion. Starboard Value LP owns nearly 6% of Smithfield's common stock and says shareholders are being shortchanged with a per-share price of $34. Instead, the company should be worth between $44 and $55 per share.
The number of wireless acquisitions recently, including Microsoft's purchase of Nokia, are aimed at one thing, the wireless future. Our cover story looks at who gains and who pays as companies position for what's next. Microsoft's purchase of handset maker Nokia helps the software giant transition into a gadget and services company. It also lines up Nokia's CEO, Stephen Elop, to return to Microsoft and possibly succeed Steve Ballmer, who's stepping down.
He has mobile experience, he has CEO experience, and he has experience in Microsoft, so he hit the ground running and knows what to fix.
Initial reaction from consumers was favorable.
I think Microsoft and Nokia are great companies and can really leverage their know-how and expertise.
Analysts say the acquisition reminds them of how Apple is constructed.
They see how different business models are succeeding, and one of the main ones, of course, is the way Apple runs things, where they own everything from soup to nuts, from the OS to the hardware.
It has been a busy time for wireless mergers and acquisitions. Take Sprint's deal to buy U.S. Cellular, and Verizon, the largest U.S. cell phone service provider with nearly 100 million subscribers, purchase of British telecom Vodafone's wireless business, jointly owned by both companies. Some consumers are wary of so much consolidation.
I hate to see them all kind of joining into one and giving us fewer choices.
With Sprint, if you a penny short, they cut your phone off. With U.S. Cellular, they didn't do that. They would, if you was short, they would give you opportunity to pay your bill.
For now, analysts believe there are enough players in the wireless marketplace to provide competitive pricing.
I don't think we're at that point yet. I think there are two kind of dominant players in the smartphone industry.
As long as folks like Samsung, Apple, and Microsoft remain separate, that competition will remain in place.
As recently as 2007, Nokia had 40% of the handset market, but it faltered on smartphones. Even now, it only has 3% of the market.
The official launch of Samsung's first wearable device is today, but images of its new Galaxy Gear Watch appeared all over the internet yesterday. The device will reportedly have a touchscreen display and a 4-megapixel camera. It's aimed at young trendsetters who also are health conscious, apparently. The device is more about tracking footsteps and heart rate than telling time. Images of many earlier Samsung products have also been leaked out on the internet.
Bank of America is selling its remaining stake in a China bank. B of A is the last U.S. bank to wind down a position in a Chinese bank. Several years ago, Wall Street bankers wanted a part of the Chinese banking system to get an edge in China. Now there are questions about the asset quality of banks in China. The Wall Street Journal reports Bank of America will sell its entire stake in China Construction Bank for $1.5 billion.
Economist/Playboy Nouriel Roubini has been told to remove a hot tub from his New York City penthouse. Roubini has gained international acclaim in the nickname Dr. Doom for his prediction of the financial crisis. He's also known for his wild parties on his rooftop terrace. New York City officials say, however, his hot tub is now in violation of zoning laws.
A shift is happening in the auto market. More banks are giving loans to subprime borrowers, a sign that banks are loosening up on lending. Reuters reports 36% of loans went to borrowers with shaky credit in 2013, inching up from 34% last year.
Lenders are a lot more comfortable taking that extra risk, lending to a riskier borrower because of the fact that the collateral is solid and it's easily repossessed. I mean, right now, there are millions of people around the country living in houses that they haven't made payments on in years, and nobody can get them out. But if you miss more than one payment on the car, it won't be in the driveway in the morning.
That was Greg McBride of Bankrate.com. Many see this as a positive sign for automakers, consumers, and especially banks, as customer demand for auto loans provide banks with opportunities to increase assets, which have been limited following the recession.
Drivers in Maine are paying more for gas than most of the nation. According to Gas Buddy, the average gallon of unleaded in Maine is $3.73, up 6 cents this week and 12 cents per gallon more than the national average.
Where Maine is concerned, I think one of the key issues right now is that you're looking at higher prices for Brent crude oil. In the northeastern United States, there's a much greater reliance on Brent crude than there is on West Texas Intermediate or Canadian crude or other types of crude that could be available elsewhere.
Political tension in Egypt and now Syria are driving up oil prices. Brent crude, which is used on the East Coast, is trading around $115 per barrel, while West Texas crude futures are around $108 per barrel.
The Japanese government is reportedly poised to take control of the increasingly perilous situation at the hobbled Fukushima nuclear power plant. The plant's private operator, Tokyo Electric Power, admitted last month that hundreds of tons of contaminated water was flowing into the ocean from the plant every day. The government's plan, unveiled yesterday, proposes two possible solutions. One involves circling the plant with subterranean ice. The other calls for construction of a processing plant that will filter the contaminated water.
Sequester budget cuts are triggering layoffs of hundreds of scientists and medical researchers. CNN Money reports their jobs are being cut as labs shut down at several universities. Many of the researchers are studying critical data in diseases such as cancer and HIV. The director of the National Institute of Health predicted months ago sequester will spell the end of jobs for 20,000 researchers and lab technicians.
Jeff Bezos is dropping hints about how he'll run the Washington Post. The Amazon founder continues a two-day visit to the Post's offices today. CEO and founder of Amazon plans to operate the newspapers in a similar strategy used 18 years ago with his tech company. The strategy back then put the customer first, invest, and be patient. Bezos will financially support the Post as it attempts to revamp its revenue stream. Bezos raised eyebrows when he paid $250 million for the Post last month. The deal is expected to close in October.
It's a move Amazon Kindle users say should have been made ages ago, allowing them to buy both a digital and printed version of a book at the same time at a discount. Enter Kindle Matchbooks. Amazon unveiled the new program yesterday. Kindle users will be able to buy digital versions of the books they purchased as far back as 1995. The Kindle versions will also come at a steep discount from the typical digital price tag.
The country's largest scented candle company is being sold for $1.7 billion. Yankee Candles will be acquired by the Jarden Corporation in a cash deal. The candle maker has been on the block since early this year, but potential buyers balked at the $2 billion price tag. Jarden is known for its Mr. Coffee products and crock-pot slow cookers. The Street likes the idea. Jarden shares closed yesterday, up almost 10.5%.
Plans to build the Trump National Golf Club appear to be off course for now. This concept of the golf course appears at charlottesvilletomorrow.com. According to the website, county officials in Albemarle determined that Donald Trump's application to build the course is incomplete and not ready to process. The deadline is September 5th. Trump officials did not offer a response.
Rosh Hashanah celebrations begin at sunset, and with the Jewish holiday coming early this year, retailers are already wondering what will happen with consumer spending, with Hanukkah falling on Thanksgiving this year. The day is being dubbed by some Thanksgiving-aka. Reports say retailers are worried that it may weaken sales, while others are bracing for sales to spike ahead of Black Friday. An analyst on MarketWatch.com says having two Black Fridays this year may not be out of the question.
On the economic calendar for today, it's the MBA Mortgage Index, the trade balance for July, and auto and truck sales for August, along with the Fed's Beige Book. On the earnings calendar, Navistar, Dollar General, and Francesca's. Still to come, how part-time workers are becoming the backbone of small businesses. Plus, why you shouldn't be too quick to toss out your losing lotto ticket. And the little things millionaires do that you could do too. Find out after this in the No Message.
Who says corporate America is full of greed? The CEO of PC company Lenovo is splitting his $3.25 million bonus with 10,000 staff members in 20 countries. It breaks down to about $300 a person. The CEO says in a memo that he has a responsibility to ensure all employees understand the impact they have on building Lenovo.
One author is sharing her knowledge of how to become the next millionaire. Heather Wagenhals has written the book, Yes, You Can, and she's Skyping with us this morning. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So what are the traits of millionaires?
Well, the first and foremost is that millionaires are consistent and they do the same thing over and over, where we can tend to fall off here and there. We hit the snooze bar when we say we want to be up at 5 or 6, and we whack it just one more time, hoping that we'll just get that extra edge for the day, and we're actually eroding our day just because we're not being consistent with what we committed to do.
Consistency is important. What else?
Well, one of the things that they do is they are always on time. They're punctual, or they arrive late or leave early because they know that the opportunities to network with other individuals that are motivated will be just like them and be available at those times before and after events. And another thing that millionaires like to do is they focus on their strengths. They know the difference between busy work and productive work, and they focus on their talents and they delegate the rest.
Can anyone become a millionaire?
Oh, absolutely. And in my new book, Cracking Your Money Code, that'll be out in the next month, we talk specifically about that because we all have the same capacity. It's whether or not we're coding ourselves for success. If you want to code yourself, first you have to see what is working for you and do more of it, and find those moments where you're not being consistent, you're not being punctual, and ask yourself, why? What am I doing to sabotage my own success? And understand that one of the things that millionaires do is they have a great ability to keep their passions in perspective. They're really excited about making money and creating new relationships and making a difference in the world, but they're more reserved when it comes to spending money and investing in risky or unwise propositions.
So you find it's true, wealthy people don't tend to spend a lot of money.
Absolutely. Most people that are millionaires are pretty conservative and they live beneath their means. And while they may enjoy luxury brands, they're not putting it on plastic. They're paying for it because they know that they could be earning interest instead of paying it.
Thank you again, and best of success to you.
You too. Dear prosperity.
You win some, you lose some. At least that's true of the lottery. But a new study finds many players throw out tickets if they just don't win the jackpot. But uncollected winnings are really adding up. Unclaimed lottery prizes in Wisconsin alone total $50 million dating back to 1997. An Illinois lottery representative tells us nearly $1.5 million goes unclaimed per month in the land of Lincoln.
Coming up, the case for the contractor, why small businesses are having a hard time committing to full-time employees. And traders have a lot on their plates to consider this week. Is the market setting up for a Freaky Friday? That's later on in Chart Talk. Stay with us.
We sort of take the temperature of the overall economy by taking a look at the American small business, which is a huge influence on the economy. Sure Payroll samples its tens of thousands of clients to compile what they call the Small Business Scorecard. Michael Alter is the CEO and president of Sure Payroll. And Michael, more and more it seems like it's becoming the story of the contractor. And again, your numbers point to that too.
Absolutely. We've really seen a shift over the last few years in the use of independent contractors by small businesses. As a matter of fact, at this point, 1 in 5 small business owners say if they hire another person, it's likely to be a contractor.
Now, is it because of the pressure being put on those businesses by the economy? They want to be sure that they have flexibility. Hire somebody, I want to be sure I can fire them if my business doesn't pick up.
Yeah, clearly that is a key piece of it. But I think there's just been a fundamental shift in how small businesses use independent contractors. The same way you think about an accountant or a lawyer. I can use the same for somebody that helps me with my technology, for somebody that might do advertising or PR for me. And the technology that's out there today allows me to find and work with those people anywhere in the world very cost effectively.
So this is not necessarily all related to the economy right now. This could be a real shift.
It's a real shift, and it's a shift in efficiency that is certainly somewhat driven by the economy. And what it's allowing small business owners to do is to become a little more profitable and a little more stable. The challenge is they're not hiring as many full-time workers, which reduces the overall growth in our economy.
I see.
Because those folks don't have money on Main Street.
Give us some of the other numbers that you looked at with hiring and payroll.
Sure. So the hiring number we saw fall 0.2%, and the actual number of the average paycheck actually rose 0.2%, which really means that small business owners are doing more with their existing workforce. They're paying them a little bit more instead of adding that next employee.
Again, they're holding back, waiting to see, and it's the contractor you say that many of them will be hiring when they do hire somebody.
Absolutely.
You also look at optimism. I thought this was interesting compared to where things were a year ago. It's sort of holding steady in the low 70s.
Right, right. So 3 in 4 small business owners are optimistic about the future. That is in contrast to almost 1 in 2 or even less than that this same point last year. And a lot of that, again, has to do with the stability in small businesses. They're seeing a little bit of revenue growth, but they've been able to be more productive, so they don't need to hire more workers to handle that revenue, which allows them to make a little more money, maybe strengthen their cash flows, their cash reserves a little bit, feel a little bit more comfortable about the future.
Michael Alter from Sure Payroll. We'll see you next month. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Bill, the conversation doesn't stop there about the labor market. Up next, why the market has a case of the jitters ahead of the jobs number out Friday. Chart Talk is next. Traders are feeling unsettled about this market. Joining us now is James Romali of KeenOnTheMarket.com. And I'm sure a lot of this has to do with Syria, but there's some other issues lurking out there, such as the jobs number that comes out on Friday. What are you seeing, James?
Right, so the jobs number comes out on Friday here, and it looked like we were going to have an all-in long week here when the shortened trading week started on Tuesday with S&P futures up over 16 points. Then they gave back all of those gains and then rallied into the close. You know, a very, very choppy session, so there definitely is some uncertainty out there. A lot of it has to do with Syria, like you said, but a lot of it has to do with the jobs number here and how that's going to play into the possibility of the Fed tapering sooner than the market expects. You know, we didn't really see a bid up in the VIX as the market sold off, though. The VIX is kind of my first warning of that something is going on here, and we didn't see that. So I really think that the move through Friday here that the options market is implying, which is around 20 points, which is on the high side. The average is around 17 to 20, and even with the shortened week, they're implying 20 points. I think that that move is overestimated here, and I really think we're going to see a pretty muted reaction on the jobs number on Friday.
Is this becoming a great market for traders?
Absolutely. Volatility is back. Tuesday was a perfect example of this. We saw huge swings in the S&P and in single stocks. Volatility creates opportunities for traders like myself for both longs and shorts. Going through this week here, as far as the S&P goes, I do think that I will be trying to play this market flat. I don't think we're going to get a huge reaction on the number, but after that, once we get some more Fed info about the taper, I think it's going to be some really good trading opportunities.
James, enjoy your trading day. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a wrap for today. Coming up tomorrow in Movies and Money, the Butler and the Oprah effect. How Oprah's golden touch may be playing a role in the latest Hollywood hit. We hope you'll join us. From all of us at First Business, have a great day.